Welcome to the DraftKings Daily Trot. I'm Jason Gilbo at JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Coming over from the pitching pod, we just pretty much talked about a lot of the mediocrity on this slate for arms. So, relatively, that's going to make us kind of like a lot of bats here.
Yeah, for sure. And there's actually a lot of reasonable prices. So it's kind of a good combination of bad pitching and reasonable pricing. So I'm in.
Yeah, I am too. I think jumping right off the first game here, you got Baltimore, New York, and we talked about Pineda being an option as far as a deep tournament play. But you also got to like really a lot of those Baltimore prices against a pitcher that has really blown up at times this series or this season. So for me, when you can get Adam Jones and Machado at under 4K, they're obviously going to be on the radar. And even if guys like Davis and Wieters end up playing, they're both under 3,800. So Baltimore
Yeah,
has a ton of value here for facing a pitcher that does have blowout potential.
I think you just named my stack for me. I mean, if you can get four Orioles under 4K against a non-ace type arm, I think you got to do it. So that's definitely a tournament play, but at the same time, super value. So you can fit some really high-end guys around them. So I really like that. And then on this Yankees side, I mean, I'll take Carlos Beltran for 3,700. I think that's a nice deal. He's actually been hitting decently lately, so I do like that from the 3 hole.
Yep, I like him a lot. It's a really nice price tag for him. I even don't mind Ellsbury at 4-1, and I think you can kind of pay up for a Brian McCann too at 4,200. So Brett Gardner, he's kind of the odd one out, a little expensive for me at that price tag. But yeah, I think 2 through 4 there is certainly intriguing given Vegas has the Yankees projected for over 5 runs.
Definitely.
Brewers and Pirates here next. Jeff Locke versus Chase Anderson. And the first thing I kind of noticed was some of those right-handed bats are kind of cheap for Milwaukee. I mean, Ryan Braun against a 4-2. Obviously, Villar is the only expensive one, but you got value like Hernan Perez, Jonathan Lucroy. I think those bats are intriguing against Locke, who's pitched well at home, but overall not a great lefty.
Good night for one-offs from the Brewers. Braun, Lucroy, Carter. I'm not necessarily in on stacking them, but I do like them as one-offs, especially Carter at first. I think that's a very interesting swerve, especially with, Ortiz versus Matt Cain. So I think that could be a low ownership guy that could get you a homer tonight.
Yeah, definitely agree. And I think you look on the Pirate side of things. I mean, I like the McCutchen price tag at 4.3. I mean, Anderson's been a guy who's been beat up by righties this season. 4.23 WOBA, allowed 2.55 home runs per 9. So I think you got to be pretty confident McCutchen can come through in that lineup at 4.3. And the Marte price tag is obviously expensive, but I think on a slate like tonight, he's worth a look in GPPs.
Exactly. Yeah. If you throw in that Orioles stack there, I mean, you have plenty of room for a Marte or something like that. So even if you do think he's overpriced, I mean, I still think he's a good play either way. So I do like that quite a bit. McCutchen, Marte, and even Polanco there. So I like those three.
Yeah, definitely the kind of the big trio outfielders there is really what I'm looking at for the Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
Marlins and Phillies here, and you're looking at Jeremy Hellickson versus Wei Yin Chen. The prices are kind of all over the map here. I mean, obviously, we talked about both these pitchers being of use tonight, but you can also make cases to use bats against them.
Yeah, it's kind of a lukewarm matchup in terms of sort of where you want to go. I mean, Ozuna's been really cheap for a few slates now, but it kind of hasn't paid off for you if you did invest in him. So I'm wondering if tonight is another similar situation where you don't want to touch him even at a reduced price, but at the same time, so easy to fit in your lineup at 3,200. Like I might just do it again,
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see doing that. And you look at Yelich. I mean, 4,800 expensive, but I think you got to like some of the lefties here against Hellickson, allowing a 353 WOBA, 1.72 runs per 9. So got like Dietrich, who's 3,300, very cheap. Yelich, obviously expensive. I don't mind those guys, and obviously I do think Stanton's in play for tournaments as well as always.
For sure.
So. As far as the Phillies bats go, I mean, I'm not too intrigued with a lot of these guys. I know they are cheap, but obviously it would be the front half of the order that maybe you take a shot at it if you're not using Shen and trying to get another big bat in there for value.
Yeah, again, Chen's in play for me, which I'm not saying the Phillies are out of play, but I'm probably going to be limiting my exposure considering the exposure to Chen I might have.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's going to be kind of what the story is for most of us tonight.
Yeah.
Dodgers Nationals next one here. Gio Gonzalez versus Bud Norris. And for me, I mean, I like the Daniel Murphy price tag. I think 4.2 is way too cheap for this matchup. He's going to be a guy who I'm just going to be consistently locking in. And even if Harper at 4.6, I'm really looking at the lefties here more so than the righties.
Yeah, nice spot to pay up for the Murphy Harper combo. You have to like that, and I mean that three player mini stack ish thing with Revere Murphy Harper, getting the lefties at the top of that lineup against a weak righty is always a pretty solid move there. So I do like that. In terms of the Dodgers over there against Gio Gonzalez, I'm not totally in on one player in particular, so I'm probably not going to have too much. I'm okay with Howie Kendrick, but he is a little expensive for what I would normally want to pay for him. So might not get too much exposure to the Dodgers either.
No, I don't think I am. I mean, I might look at a Yasiel Puig at 3.2 in a tournament, but yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement. When Kendrick's the same price as Daniel Murphy, that decision's easy to make. Um, and you look Turner. I mean, Turner's not that great against lefties. Seager might be out of the lineup. Gonzalez lefty matchup. So there's really not a lot to like here for this Dodgers team.
Yeah, I agree.
Red Sox and Giants, Matt Cain versus Drew Pomeranz. And Pomeranz making a start here against the Giants, a team he's faced quite a few times already. I'm not really putting a ton of stock into the Giants tonight, but obviously I think you can look at Posey at 4.5 as a contrarian play.
Yeah.
He's about it for me. I mean, Pomeranz fairly tough on lefties and doesn't really have blow potential, so I'm not really on the Giants.
But at the same time, I think that's where you make your contrarian swerve if you're gonna, because Pomeran's going to be the chalk. People aren't going to want to play Giants in lineups because they're going to have so much Pomeranz. So I think that is a lineup to make a move with. It's just tough, like you said, to decide who you make that move with other than Posey. I guess maybe you hope some of the righties at the end of the lineup beat them up a little bit, but it's tough to start, throw those guys in your lineup. So overall, I think it's mostly a fade, but if you want to be contrarian, I think you can look at sort of a Posey and maybe some of the cheap guys at the end of that lineup.
Yeah, I'm definitely in agreement. I think Pagan, Posey, even lefty matchup for Crawford at 3K. Crawford's can hold his own against lefties. Those will probably be my three. And as you mentioned, if anyone slips up those right-handers and goes into the top half of the lineup or hits sixth, you can give them a look. And as you stated, I mean, contrarian at the most. That's it.
Right.
As far as the Red Sox go, I mean, projected for over 6 runs, facing Matt Cain, who's been awful for a long time now. I think you can look at both sides of the plate. I think you can look really 1 through 7 for what you want to use. They're expensive, but they're not going to kill you on a slate like tonight.
Yeah, screw it. You don't really care about that expensive pricing. It is crazy, but at the same time, on this type of slate, if you like this Red Sox stack, you're going with it either way and figuring out the rest of it around. So, obviously, for me, the clear best stack of the night, and I mean, I think Ortiz once again. I mean, it's just another great matchup for him. So you saw he got the homer yesterday. I think it's a very similar situation tonight. So firing away with him, bombs away with this stack. If I were to pick the top 4 from this lineup, I'd probably go Ortiz, Bradley. The top of that lineup's tough to choose. Probably go Betts, but I could see Bogarts in play as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're looking here, the odd man's out. I mean, maybe Hanley, maybe Pedroia. Pedroia kind of more so at his price because I think you still rather go Murphy over pretty much everyone there tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely in agreement. I think Betts, Bogarts, Bradley, Ortiz are kind of my trio there, or my quad.
Your quad, yeah.
My quad stack. Padres and Cardinals one here. Paul Clemens or Jaime Garcia, and we'll jump real quickly into the Padres. And for me, there's a lot of right-handers in this lineup that I think could pay off those price tags. I mean, they are all expensive. I think that's going to be another reasonable downside to some of their ownership tonight. But for me, 1 through 4 certainly playable as far as a GPP stack. I don't mind them as one-offs. You look at Garcia. I mean, been relatively average against right-handers. Been up and down this season. Obviously, it's just a contrarian GPP move.
Yeah, or just swerve off of Ortiz to Will Myers because I don't hate this matchup for him, and obviously he's been awesome this year. So I think that's a pretty reasonable move. I'm not in on stacking them, but I think a Myers or even a Matt Kemp are pretty intriguing as sort of, like you mentioned, swerving off your top option, maybe diving into slightly overpriced but still high upside guys.
Yeah, and you look Solarte. I mean, Solarte is not the value play that he's been in the past.
No.
So a little more expensive, but I think that should keep his ownership. I think if he was priced in the 3Ks, obviously I think the ownership would be a little bit higher. So this should kind of shrink it down.
Yeah, I agree.
Cardinals things go. I mean, they're a little bit expensive, but obviously you got to like the matchup here against Paul Clemens. For me, I mean, you got to like both sides of the plates against them, and definitely whatever they kind of roll out 1 through 5 is certainly going to be what I'm looking for a mix of value and even high priced options.
Yeah. You hope Matt Adams is fifth there because I like that price for him. Matt Holliday is pretty reasonably priced as well. This Grichuk price, I mean, it's out of control. But at the same time, it's like he's producing right now. So I'm not against him in a tournament. Same with Diaz. I think they're both really solid options. And if you want to go with that 1 through 4, I'm totally okay with that. But at the same time, values there, Holiday and Adams.
Yeah, definitely. And Piscotty 4-3 price tag. I mean, not too bad there.
Not bad.
Last game here, you got the Angels and Rangers, Martin Perez versus Hector Santiago. And it's kind of a matter, hey, which Santiago is going to show up tonight? Is it going to be the one who's going to give up 3 home runs, or is it going to be the one who completely shuts down an entire offense?
Yeah.
So I think you got to like Ian Desmond and Beltre at those prices, and even Ryan Rua. I mean, those are kind of really cheap options. I mean, usually we see Desmond price crazy high, but I kind of like 2, 3, 4 there for the Rangers.
Over under 2 strikeouts for Prince Fielder tonight.
I'm gonna set it right at 2. I'm gonna take it's gonna be 2.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I should have said 2.5, but I should have said 1.5. What am I doing? I'd be a horrible bookie. But either way, yeah, you can't play Prince tonight even at that reduced price. But yeah, I like Beltre and Desmond as you mentioned. I mean, even a Profar in this type of matchup is someone I'm intrigued by. So I think you can fire in some of those righties in that lineup, and just kind of hope in a tournament type of way. Obviously, they don't have the upside of some of the higher end stacks tonight, but I think some of those righties are pretty high upside.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. And if Elvis Andrus kind of sneaks up into the top half of the lineup, I like him a little bit here.
Yeah, definitely.
As far as the Angels go, I mean, coming off a big night against Kyle Loesch, as we kind of expected. I mean, a lot of it came from Albert Pujols with his second 2 home run game in the last couple. So obviously he's hot. I think you can look at this matchup against Perez. I'm not in love with a lot of these price tags. I mean, Perez. I mean, decent ground ball rate. He does allow a ton of hits. Average amount of home runs per 9. I'm not in love with the Angels' offense like I was last night, but I do think 1 through 5 here, they're certainly playable. But I do kind of hate some of the price tags of Escobar. Chrome.
That would be a really unique way to go, I think. If you went 1 through 5 with sort of that overpriced stack, I actually do think that's pretty viable tonight in a tournament. But yeah, in terms of guys, I think Trout's kind of the obvious, especially with price considered out of that matchup, just like most nights. But I mean, 52. You can definitely fit him in tonight. So I do like that quite a bit. Cole Calhoun, that's a weird price. Normally he's a lot cheaper than most, and tonight he's just not. So I'd rather go Pujols over him, but at the same time, I'm not out on Calhoun either.
No, I'm not either. And I think, I mean, you're kind of hoping maybe some of those guys would be in the low 4s. High 3s as far as pricing, and they're not quite there tonight. And Vegas projects them for 5 runs, just about. I think we should also temper expectations for this Angels offense that doesn't quite hit that stack as often as really they compared to other teams.
I will say I miss this Albert Pujols. I dream of the days back on the Cardinals when he was just hitting 40 homers a year. I want that Pujols back, and hey, it might be happening.
He's a streaky hitter by far. I mean,
Yeah,
it's tonight's one of those nights where it's like, okay, could he keep it going? Sure, but he also could kind of
one for
regress back to his
four.
usual,
Yeah.
yeah, his usual ways. It's hard for making a case for him over a guy like Ortiz or
Oh
Chris
no.
Davis. If Chris Davis is in the lineup, it's hard to be that.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, you want pieces of the Nationals power guys, Ortiz in that Red Sox lineup, and then the Cardinals, right?
Yeah, I think that's where I'm looking for the most part. Those three teams. I mean, maybe give me a couple Baltimore bats in there as well.
Right.
So that's gonna wrap things up here with the DK Daily Trot. Be sure to check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all great tools and content.